Hi, I'm Karen Kubicko, and today we're going to talk about how, if you feel inhibited from sex or pleasure during sex, that it might have a root cause in a past lifetime. So it's kind of a hard subject to bring up because it's very personal when someone feels disconnected from intimate relations with another person. Maybe you just don't feel like it, or you've never given yourself the opportunity to actually have an orgasm. It's like how to talk about this and still make it safe to talk about on YouTube. Um, so, if you have those kinds of inhibitions where maybe you even avoid having any intimacy with someone that you're with, or even wanting to date to begin with, anyone, because you don't want to get involved with that. And you've ruled out anything that might have occurred, like a sexual trauma of some kind, in this current lifetime. If that has happened, please get help. And, there's a lot of folks out there that help with that specifically. But if you've worked through anything that might have happened in this lifetime, or you don't have anything to connect to in this current lifetime, that's when you start to think about, well, I wonder if something happened to me in a past lifetime. Remember to hit that like button, share the video, and subscribe. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. So when people have come to me for these types of things, and we've done a reading or a past life regression in some kind of way, what tends to come up often is one of a couple things. Usually it's something to do with having some type of sexual trauma in a past lifetime. And, it's not easy to discuss or talk about, but it helps solve that riddle in a sense and solve the question of, why do I feel this way? Why do I push against any kind of intimate relationship with somebody? Why have I never orgasmed? Why have I not given myself the opportunity to feel that type of pleasure and to feel safe about it? So when you go into a past lifetime, you don't necessarily have to re-experience that whole trauma. You might just get the knowing, here's a lifetime that's coming up for me, and you get the information that a trauma like that has happened so that you can release it, forgive it. Again, not ever saying what happened was okay, but just to release that subconscious flow of energy to that trauma, to the people involved, whatever the case may be. But sometimes the inhibition for having close, intimate relationships in this current lifetime might have to do with a past lifetime where you took a vow of celibacy, or you were a nun or a priest repetitively over past lifetimes, and you were constantly in that pattern of, I cannot be with another person in a sexual or intimate type of way. So in this current lifetime, it feels like you're not permitted. You can't open up in that kind of way. You feel guilty for having that type of pleasure, and you restrict yourself from those kinds of intimate relationships with another human. And so when that information comes forward, then you can be like, oh, I made that vow, a literal vow, because the vows that you make are like contracts or rules that are written in your subconscious in some way. I'm not permitted to have sex. I'm not allowed to feel pleasure. And those subconscious rules and vows and contracts are written in your subconscious. But whenever you understand, well, this is exactly where it came from, you can release it, right? So that in this current lifetime, you can start to feel pleasure for yourself and allow intimate sexual types of relationships, whether it's just with yourself or with others, in a safe kind of way. sometimes these types of things are not obvious. I've definitely met people who are in relationships, they just don't have sex. And the person that's coming to me is usually female, and she's like, I don't know why. I just don't feel like it ever. There's no reason why. They're very nice and loving to them. They're very patient with them. They're very kind. It's a great relationship. And she just doesn't understand maybe why she would hold back from having some type of intimate sexual relationship with them or even with themselves. I've met some people who've never masturbated or learned how to provide an orgasm to themselves because they thought that it was not permitted to feel that type of pleasure. But they also had lifetimes where they were a nun or a priest or a monk of some kind, or they committed to being celibate in some type of way. And so when you recognize, well, I'm not in that lifetime anymore. I don't have to abide by those rules and to be very pious, I guess, in that kind of way where you're celibate, and continue that in this current lifetime, especially if you're in a loving relationship and you want that kind of closeness and that kind of connectedness that you can have. So let yourself be open to the possibility that if you don't have anything in this current lifetime affecting that inhibition from having an intimate sexual relationship with someone, allowing yourself to make love to someone, or even to pleasure yourself in some type of way, and there's no reason for it in this current lifetime that you've found, maybe it's a past lifetime, and you can locate that root cause of what is inhibiting you from feeling that intimate pleasure in this current lifetime. You know, sex is all about connecting with another person in a safe and loving way. And so if you think about a relationship with someone, it's kind of like analogous to a cake, a big, beautiful cake. And the cake part of it, that spongy crumminess of flavor, that's the relationship aspect. That friendship, that camaraderie, that open communication, the hanging out, holding hands, and taking walks together, eating dinner together, whatever it is that you do on a regular basis. And then the icing on that cake is when you get the chance to make love. And it's the sweetness that you add to that whole relationship. So if you visualize a beautiful cake with lots of beautiful decorations made out of icing, that's the whole relationship. If you have just icing, it's really sweet and it can make you sick. It's too much. And if you have just the cake, that's great. All you need is a little bit of icing, and it makes it just a little bit sweeter. So I'd like to throw that analogy out there because I think it's kind of a fun one. But opening yourself up to provide healing on any level that will help you in any relationship, whether it's one that you have for yourself or with others that are in your awareness, is always to a benefit. It's about learning how to love yourself even more, right? And stay to the end to click a link to a guided meditation to help you find any root causes in your relationship patterns. Lots of love and light to you.